Hey there, Search 232 folks. Hopefully you're doing well. We're at the end. I know you're excited. I'm a little, bittersweet. It was nice to meet so many of you all and happy to chat with you all about this material. And even though we're getting to the end of this course, I'm hoping you got a lot of cool things along the way in order to transform all of this sort of data jargon that was like maybe a little intimidating, maybe still be a little intimidating, but you feel a little bit better about it. And Module 7 is kind of this sort of culminating experience where we go ahead and we take all the elements you've done over the past 6 modules and transform it into a cohesive narrative and a social science report that really kind of explores all the things you've been exploring with your variable of interest. The PowerPoint presentation here is going to actually be really short for once. We're going to go over the steps for you to take to transform all the work you've done this term and to produce a sophisticated scientific report that helps assess the narratives you bring to the table. You've done this stuff. You've done a lot of cool and difficult work. And now we're going to go one step further to assemble it all together for an official report. For some people, this report might be optional, and we'll talk about that in a second, but feel free to review the task at hand and decide if it's worth the 5% for your score. Now, with it only being 5%, some of you all have been doing great and making strong A's or even strong B's in the course, and you feel like, you know what, I did the work that I felt like I needed to do. And if you've hit that component, you might consider Module 7 to be optional. It's only 5% of the grade. And as I've sort of said here, once Module 6 grades get posted, and it should be, by the end of the weekend, hopefully, these are the really cutoff scores that will, by the end of Module 6, that would be needed to get a specific grade in Module 7. So on Monday, after Module 6 assignments are graded, I'll be posting a grade without completing Module 7. This will be sort of the last check-in point for you all to assess of whether or not you want to do this stuff. It should be, knock on wood, this is all you need for certain points by Module 6 when everything is graded in order to guarantee the A, B, C, or D. But I will reaffirm that at the end of Module 6 once everything has been graded. And then you can determine whether you want to turn something in. If you don't, that's okay. That's fine. You'll get the grade that I will have presented, no changes. But if you want to try to bump it up to the next level, along with some challenges, some experiences, go ahead and do it. That one additional challenge to advance your skills a bit more and put a solid capstone to this course. This is the module for you. This is really where we're going to the next element of what you would do as data analysts within a social science setting. At the end of the module, you have a final project, and you can actually use this as a writing sample, as an element of skill sets, and basically just something that you know that you can do for whenever you go to the workforce or go to graduate programs or so on. The whole term we've been doing blog posts and through the homework assignments, I've been sort of encouraging you to think about selecting your own variables in a specific way to set up your propositions and conduct your own analyses on the General Social Survey. Based on all this prep work and the initial analyses, we're now going to follow through with roughly a 6 to 8 page scientific report based on your findings. So you're going to take the things you've been doing and formalize it in a way that looks like a solid and sophisticated report. There'll be a summary sheet and template inside the submissions for the paper, as well as a template for you to use for when you post your appendix. And so you'll see all the guidelines that you'll need to perform each of these elements you're seeing before you for Module 7 for your paper. So you'll need a title cover page, an introduction, a section of your sample characteristics, so basically your dispositions variable, exploration of covariates. And those are the sort of 3 qualitative and 3 numerical variables you've been doing in like 4 and 5, in modules 4 and 5. So you'll be able to explain it and describe it, maybe suggest why you think those things might be important as a covariate to the sample characteristic. You'll then go ahead and take your findings section and determine whether or not there was a relationship based on specific values, and a conclusion to suggest which variables you think are most likely best associated with the responses on your dispositions variable that you have been exploring for the second half of the course. You'll also submit a Jamovi output this time in a separate file as an appendix. You'll need to insert a few summary tables of your analyses to report across all of your report, and those templates for the tables can be found in the full report template, as well as through your homework and those sort of tables we've been using. Again, don't stress over this module. You can opt out if you like. It's only worth 5% of your grade, and for many of you all, you've hit that sort of cutoff threshold to get the score that you are hoping for. But I've been preparing you secretly through blog posts, through homeworks, and so on to sort of get you all comfortable with this write-up. So really, it's just sort of stringing everything together and assembling it as a full product. Take those blog posts that you use, try to think and perhaps use those things to prepare for this final module. There's a good template in Word that sort of gives you specific directions on how to maybe fill in these pieces. I recommend you use them. As you prepare your first official scientific report, you may want to carefully select previous modules, review, and consider any past feedback that was provided. And this piece is vital for you all. Make sure that this is your own work. You've been doing a lot of heavy lifting and writing over the past few modules. And the goal is to take this all together to make a report that is something that you did. Yes, you. But that also means it's that you're doing it and not a computing AI device like ChatGPT. Using generative AI to produce this report will, if you decide to do this and it is caught, you'll fail the course. And I don't want you to do that. I would much rather you take the rules of writing worksheets we've been using, the previous blog posts, and even to reach out to me during office hours or whatnot to make sure that you are in good shape going forward. Produce your own magnificent writing, and remember that even if you're missing a few of the points here and there, it's not going to affect your overall score horribly. Remember, if you do all the Jamovi stuff, that'll actually be worth 30 points of your grade. And the final paper is only worth 70 points. This means in order to basically get only 4% instead of 5% of your grade, you're going to need, and if you do all the Jamovi stuff, you're going to need like a C- on this paper to just lower that to 1 percentage point. So I'm going to reiterate, this is why we want your own work. The grade difference between the two is not going to be super pronounced. But if it turns into an AI report, and trust me, we all on the teaching side of this team can recognize and detect it and understand where AI is being pursued and used. If you're doing those things, like, I'd much rather see the authentic your report that may get maybe even a B on it, but that's still like, probably somewhere between 4.4 and 4.5% out of the total 5% that would be in that overall, as opposed to AI generative work that gets you a 0 and leads to a just automatic F. We don't want that. So do your own work and do it the best that you can. Who knows? Maybe you'll surprise yourself on how okay you actually are, even without this extra guidance. I'm hoping if we all did our job well, that many of you all will receive a perfect score in this final report. If not, I bet it will be pretty close. Be sure to review the separate grading rubrics for this scientific report as you get started and plan out your work ahead. Beyond the grade, remember this is that the added benefit from this assignment is that you have a solid piece of scientific research to include in your career portfolio or application for grad school. So this is kind of maybe for some of you all your first major writing sample, but more importantly, probably your first major writing sample that did a very extensive data analysis alongside of the theoretical things that you are really good at writing up. And for those who decide to take on this challenge, there will also be a SOS 232 Best Student Paper Competition. Very unofficial, but you get the title, where I'll be deciding the best student paper for the term. Do your very best work as you try to secure this title, as the honor could carry some mileage on something you can add as a line item to your resume. Not only can you say you have some data analysis skills, scientific report writing skills, but you also could put on winner, best scientific report, social statistics, fall 2025. And to conclude, if you decide to complete Module 7, I wish you the best. Ask me questions, I'm happy to answer them. And don't stress about it. Even turning something in that's your own work is going to get you some points. And that's really the reason why you're doing this, right? To get to the extra level. Full speed ahead and good luck. Overall, move this out of the way for a second. Thanks for an amazing term. Keep doing fantastic things and enjoy the rest of college experiences, other classes. Best of luck with other classes. And take care. See you, folks.